and they gave away about 3 lengths each. Global Heat broke out well. Majestic Manbo right there goes off to the lead. Then Pablo Escobar is well enough placed. Here's Manbo getting up handy, a little bit strong in the early stages, now coming back to William Buick. At the outside, Takaria is on the improve as well, has a chance to pick up the lead, but they work towards the first turn. Then comes Dubai Horizon, who's just off them. Dubious Affair is racing in the blue and red colours, but at the outside of runners and only about 3 to 4 lengths from the leader. Mind Mapping tries to get into the hunt as well. Then comes Dancing King and New Trails. They're racing together with Global Heat, the blue jacket and white cap just behind midfield. 2 back to Island Brave. Then comes Rodrigo Diaz and East Asia, 2 lengths away to the slow starters. Mekong is 1 from last, and Enemy races at the end of the field, and Takaria took over the lead and picked it up by 2 lengths, although his options were limited. Manbo got into second. Then third place is Dubai Horizon, racing good 3 lengths off the leader. Then 2 lengths away to Pablo Escobar at the outside of Majestic Manbo at what looks to be a reasonable pace. Then comes Dubious Affair in 6th place and a good 7 lengths off the leader. Dancing King is in the lighter blue on the outside, has a chance to make up some ground if he doesn't want to be caught flat-footed. Mind Mapping is about midfield. Then comes Global Heat, and they stretching out. Takaria is making sure of this gallop. Then comes New Trails, who races further back and running. Rodrigo Diaz is in the white jacket and green cap, quite some way back. Mekong, similar colours. Island Brave. Then comes East Asia, who's one of the back markers, and at the end of the field is Enemy towards the corner of the track. Little over 1,200 metres left to go, and Takaria has opened up by about 4 to 5 lengths. Manbo's at the head of the others in second. Dancing King gains some ground down the back straight, finds himself in third and a length and a half behind Manbo. Bit of a battle between those two already. They now being joined further back by Dubai Horizon, 2 lengths away to Pablo Escobar, with Majestic Manbo a length behind them. Dubious Affair is at that one's outside. New Trails. Then comes Global Heat, will come down the side of the course a good 10 lengths off the leader. East Asia, New Trails, Island Brave, Rodrigo Diaz. Then comes Mekong, who races towards the end of the field. Enemy is next, and then a long way back to Mind Mapping at the top of the straight. 500 metres left to go, and Takaria brought them in, but only by 1 length, and Manbo was quick to commit, and Manbo took over the lead. Dubious Affair now tries to chase. East Asia inside rail. Then comes Global Heat, who's trying to get into the hunt as well. Further back Rodrigo Diaz, but Manbo's 4 lengths in front and extending, and Manbo in front of Global Heat, who's second. Then comes East Asia, 5 from 5. Manbo absolutely walloped them. Second goes to East Asia. Then came Global Heat. 4th to Enemy, who stayed on from the back of the field. Island Brave. Then came Rodrigo Diaz. Majestic Manbo. Further back and running to Mekong. Dubai Horizon was next best with Dubious Affair. Then a number of lengths away to New Trails. Dancing King faded out of it. So too did Pablo Escobar, Takaria and Mind Mapping.
Well, that's about as impressive a staying race victory around here as you will see. Manbo definitely looks a Group 1 horse off the back of that. I think they should just skip the Dubai Gold Cup and go straight to the Ascot Gold Cup. That was really, really good. He had it covered the whole way around, didn't he? He knew that Adriana Myler wasn't going to hang on in front, and he wasn't taking any chances.
Yeah, I thought it was really just interesting how he originally was probably just going to make the running until Takaria came up on the outside, and he had options, and the horse, to me, it was such an unexposed horse, only in his 5th start, remains undefeated with just a very professional win with a huge turn of foot.
It was great fun to watch. It really was, and he made sure he had a proper race and really opened him out there.
I think he is that sort of horse. He eats a lot of pudding by the looks of it, and needs a bit of work to get him fit. And they probably expected him to be a bit fresh early on. And yeah, he's had a real race. I think that's the beauty of this race, is that it gives the stayers another couple of weeks before World Cup night. Good job it's not on Super Saturday, because they take more out of themselves naturally, and he probably has done here. And yeah, he's been very impressive. Just to put to some mild context on it, he has slaughtered a horse rated 90, giving him 2 kilos, in receipt of 2 kilos, beg your pardon. Cracking run by East Asia in second for Saeed Ashish, who's absolutely over the moon with that Group 3 placing. But it was a case of Manbo first, the rest nowhere, really, wasn't it?
Well, East Asia has to go up to about, 100 off that now?
You want to get him in the Gold Cup
you
on
might
the back
well
of that.
get him in the Gold Cup.
Get him in off that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a rule that I try out every year, and it's not a rule at all, but there's kind of a loose historical thing that if you're fourth in a prep, up to fourth in a prep.
Yeah.
You get in on the big night, but it does all depend on ratings and things like that. And of course, invitations.
I've always been one of the belief that the rating system should be used for everything except for the local preps for the races. So I always feel like the top 3 in those races should be given an automatic in.
And I'm never doubting Ian Williams again, because Enemy has finished 4th. And I couldn't understand what he was doing here, but that was a fine run. Maybe he's found himself a stayer out of that one as well. He was very much, I thought, being ridden to get the trip, and he certainly did. So great performance by the Brits there, and they split up a Godolphin. And Island Brave as well has finished 5th, and Rodrigo Diaz 6th. So you could argue that actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all trained in the UK, if you count Saeed and Charlie as UK based for most of the year.
Yeah, it's like it felt like a bit of an afterthought for some of these horses, the Enemies and Island Braves and certainly East Asians of this world. He was due to run a few weeks ago, but we know the local stayers aren't great. They don't have enough opportunities.
I was going to say, you can't really come over here permanently with a grass stayer, because you'd only be able to run them 4 times.
Which was the main reason Saeed Hashish took this horse back.
Took East Asia home, absolutely, which turned out to be an inspired decision. And even when we interviewed Ian Williams back in December and said about coming back over here with East Asia, he said, well, I hope he's not going to find it very, very tough. He's only rated 90, but Little Horse just continues to defy expectations. And I know we've probably seen a proper horse in Manbo, but I'm thrilled for them with finishing 2nd. But anyway, Manbo, what do? Do they go to the Gold Cup and just win it? Or do they really be brave and drop him back for the Shima?
I'd say they've got the Shima covered.
I'd say they've got it covered with your beer,
I would honestly just wait until they see what happens on Super Saturday. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if your beer pops up on Super Saturday.
I got the impression of speaking to James Doyle that your beer was literally going to turn up the week before.
He doesn't even fly in for a while, yeah.
He was going to turn up and run
Him
straight
and
off the
Creative
plane.
Force.
Yeah.
So who would be Charlie's big horse in the City of Gold?
Walton Street.
Walton Street, that's all.
I'm guessing. I don't.
He's a great one.
Don't knock
Walton Street. He won a Canadian International. To everyone's surprise. Well, actually, no one's surprised. It wasn't very good Canadian International. But if you told me this time last year that Walton Street would win a Canadian International, I'd be stunned. But that's what Charlie does. He gets these horses and he improves them. And actually, this horse has always been really smart, hasn't he? Right the way through. From the start of his career, he's looked exciting, and he's beautifully bred, of course, as well. Being out of that lovely grey mare that Godolphin had a few years ago, Tassaday, who ran here.
Yeah, she was a carnival winner herself, over 10 furlongs. And Turgenev, his half brother, is quite good as well.
All his forms, his early forms are obviously very strong. If you take Mojo Star, who finished 2nd in the Derby in a Ledger, and we see the Stars horses just continue to improve with age as he did, and the world could be his lobster this year in the staying department, and you almost feel he's got too much speed for a Gold Cup at Ascot over that huge trip, but I'd say that would be where they'd have to point him towards.
And the Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, he does have to me he's like cross counter with a better turn of foot.
Yeah.
I think everyone forgets that cross country was 3 when he won the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
But then he did come here and win a Dubai Gold Cup, so he was a very, very good horse, and he's now... someone missed the break. Who was that? Mekong, of course it was Mekong.
Just decided to do what he wants to do.
Richie Mellon's just come past and declared his ride on East Asia to be the ride of the season. I'm not going to disagree.
He stuck to the inside all the way.
He went the shortest way around. It was a great effort. They have every right to be delighted with it. But he was a bit keen. The winner wasn't even Manbo, but nothing to be worried about. And I think Adju probably did do him a favour going on and just giving them someone to follow.
And there was somebody had to go, and this horse just got a nice little workout out of it and packed it in.
He'll go off to Bahrain, this horse, and made you very well over there, Takarir. But and Alistair said in commentary they went a reasonable gallop. They weren't flying along, were they? As they never do in these.
I often think when one goes clear like that, they ignore him, and the rest of the field are actually going steadily enough. Yeah.
Well, it is a new track record.
Yeah, so the winner's in this position all the way around until he has to go, and there was no kind of taking a pull. He just went for it, didn't he?
Almost.
In behind him at the moment is Pablo Escobar in the green silks. Right at the back is Enemy. As said, very much being ridden, I thought, conservatively, and it was a
move
stage
was one place above him, ahead of him.
That paid off to follow to some extent, to hold back on those that were really running for places. As it turned out, most of the field were. Majestic Manbo on the rail in the green colours, has struggled a bit. I think he does probably need to just be safe for that Abu Dhabi run. He's quite early, Pablo Escobar. I thought he might run a bit better. He might have just needed this perhaps a little bit. Your Dubai Horizon, was he a bit disappointing as well in the red cap?
Just whatever went awry with him a couple of years ago just hasn't really panned out for him. But you know, they're 6-1. These types of horses, they're either going to show up or they're going to pack it in like he did. This race was, to me, kind of interesting just because when Audrey committed, the pace obviously sped up impeccably at that point, and the horses that were in the center of the pack kind of had to decide whether or not they were going to commit to it and stay with Manbo in the second spot, or stay the same pace and try to maintain and try to basically persevere and maintain their stamina.
Dancing King was there for a while, but he's cried enough pretty quickly, hasn't he?
That was a shock, actually.
Yeah, gone backwards. There comes he stages through on the rail. They're all just not anywhere near the grade of this horse, are they?
He does show a turn of foot to shoot clear, doesn't he, the winner?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a relentless grinding performance. I think he's sat and quickened, the sign of a very good horse, and I think they'll always want to ride him that way. Just let him be uncomplicated and do whatever he wants to do, because he's shown that, being a big horse, you don't want to mess him around, and just a class act full stop, I think.
Yeah, he's very, very exciting indeed. Second unbeaten star on tonight's card. He's now 5 from 5. Shahama 4 from 4. Couldn't be more different, the two horses.
No.
Two very enjoyable races to watch.
Now looking toward the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, if we assume that he goes there, and bigger names go to the Shima for Godolphin, we obviously have to look at the Red Sea Turf this week in Saudi and see who he might face on that day. If Sonny Boy Liston possibly comes over, that would be a fun matchup. Even if Princess Zoe, if she comes over, though she does prefer a little softer ground. What I find interesting is there are a multitude of horses that are going to Saudi that are making it probably by far, to me, the best version of that race in 3 years, that might still come over here. So the Gold Cup could be one of its best editions ever.
I suppose the problem is for the European horses going to Saudi is they have to go back home again, don't they? I mean, Mishriff did it last year, obviously defied the odds considerably in what he achieved. I think he's a bit of a freak horse, but yeah, they can't just, for instance, you mentioned Princess Zoe, they can't just come here. You have to have some weird quarantine rule. They have to go back to Europe first, which, also travel all the time. It's not a huge deal, but at the same time, it's not as easy as just coming on a plane here.
Simply for the Europeans, though?
Just the Europeans,
just
Europeans. The Japanese and the Americans come straight here, but some red tape quarantine rule. They have to come here straight away the day after. Yeah. So they get picked up from Saudi the day after, and they come here, which is fabulous. It means we get 2 weeks of filming them. Well, 4 weeks of filming them before World Cup. It's very useful. I
think the first ship in is a few hours after the Saudi Cup, and it's Japanese that are coming straight here,
which is great. We enjoy that very much. That was a very enjoyable race, I have to say, and I think
you actually liked the marathon race?
I did. I'm not a big fan of the staying races, but he's a proper horse, isn't he? And we'll hear a bit more about him, I think, from Charlie Appleby.
Charlie Appleby after the victory of Manbo. A stunning performance. Everything you expected?
Yes, without being too overly confident, should we say. Look, he was receiving a lot of weight from those horses. As you saw him in the paddock there, Stephen, he's a big horse, so he probably didn't realise William was on board, to be brutally honest with you. But coming into the race, yes, confidence. As I said, pre-race, he's also toyed about whether to run him in the City of Gold first stop, really. I think he's a class horse at anything from 1.5 miles to 2 miles is... He's got he already started a bright future, but I think the future could be bright for him.
So does that answer any questions regarding Shima or Gold Cup at the end of the carnival?
Well, look, Yabir's obviously, as I mentioned there before, he's back in the UK in preparation to come out here just before the Shima. If he turns up, and like I say, if Yabir hits every target set for him at home now and turns up, he'll probably go to the Shima, and then therefore that would allow this horse to go for the Gold Cup. But if we're not happy with Yabir in preparation, then it wouldn't worry me dropping this horse back to 1.5 miles either.
And in terms of the race itself, he just looks such an uncomplicated horse. Can be a bit free early, but once you just let him get on with it, he's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, he was entitled to be a bit fresh tonight, coming off a long layoff there. So, but William said, he just gets into a nice rhythm, and the one thing he does up the straight, he just keeps finding all the way to the line.
Obviously, that Group 2 last time came on soft, but do you think he's going to be a better horse on a sounder surface, such as it was in France when he won by about 10 lengths?
Yeah, I think he's a better horse. I mean, I'm a strong believer. Good horses prefer to be running on a better ground. But, he's a horse that travels well on and covers the ground very well on this surface. So, I'm happy to see him on this.
Nice to see Lazuli get his head in front. Does that pose a question now, being a Group 2 winner? Where do you go with him next?
Yeah, we did sort of a few entries. I was looking at the Craven meeting, Guineas meeting there just recently. And obviously, the Palace House there was a race that we sort of had earmarked for him, but he'll go there with his Group 2 penalty now, so I would imagine we'll just leave him fresh and go straight to the King's Stand with him.
Exciting times. Well done, Charlie.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Cheers.
Sprinters